and I forgot that we actually had that there about an hour before the reception was over.
Listen.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of my life. Let me reintroduce myself for all of you returning subscribers because I got married. Yes, I got married exactly 2 weeks ago from today. So I kind of wanted to do a wedding Q&A, tell you all of the details, give you an in-depth view of how the day went, how I was feeling, what went wrong, any regrets, everything and everything, just to give you a little insight on how my wedding day went and hopefully can inform any future brides out there on what really to focus in on. I hope you guys are ready to embark on this wife journey with me because I am ready for it. Subscribe if you have not yet, and let's just get right into the Q&A. So I have about 10 questions on my phone. They are just general wedding questions that I either found on the internet, that I got asked myself, and that I wish I had answers to when I was planning my wedding. The first question is, were you nervous? I was not nervous actually at all at the plain mere fact that I was getting married. I didn't have any nerves creeping up until the wedding day. I actually didn't even feel like I was getting married. We were engaged for about 14 months, so I just kept saying it was coming later on, and then the day actually came and I was like, holy shit, I'm getting married today. The time that it actually hit me of me getting nervous was right before I walked down the aisle. So after our bridal party and our family walked down, they closed the church doors, and right before those church doors reopened for me to enter into the aisle is when my heart was pounding the most. It was just really a mix of all the adrenaline, the fact that I was about to see my husband for the first time in my wedding dress, and that we were actually here and we made it. That is the only nerves that I personally experienced. The next question is if I had any regrets. Overall, I do not regret one thing that happened on my wedding day. Everything went so smoothly and I couldn't have asked for a better day in my entire life. The only two things that I regret are kind of on the smaller side. So one is that we did have an outside area for people to lounge in. It had a fire pit. It was an extension of the room, but they just considered it a balcony. And I forgot that we actually had that there. About an hour before the reception was over is when I realized that there was an outside area. So I did quickly go out there and had one of Alex's brothers take a picture of me because I wanted to remember the moment, but I just forgot that there was that area to enjoy. I know all of our guests really enjoyed it. When I walked out there was about 20 or 30 people just lounging, chatting, talking. So I really love that I had that for my guests because it just made their experience better on my wedding day, but I personally forgot about it, which is one thing that I do regret. And then kind of going along with having stuff for your guests to enjoy is we did have a photo booth. The photo booth was stellar. The only regret I have is that I forgot that it was there. So I actually had my bridesmaid remind me to take a picture with Alec in the photo booth because I knew I was going to forget that we had one. So past me was trying to help future me in that situation, and she did remind me, and I went to go to try to find Alec to take a picture with him in the photo booth, and I couldn't find him. So ultimately I just took a picture of it with my maid of honor, which I will cherish those pictures forever. They are so much fun. All of our guests were obsessed with it and we're taking pictures in it all night, and we are actually getting all those photo booth pictures in relatively soon, so I may have some blackmail. So yeah, I don't regret having those two things in the wedding. I just regret not remembering that we had it ahead of time. The next question is if anything went wrong. I wouldn't even notice if anything went wrong on my wedding day. All of the big things that were supposed to happen happened, and that's honestly all that I cared about, and all of those big things went right. I have to tell you though is that if you do not get a day of coordinator for your wedding day, a lot of things probably could go wrong because they are really there to help you and to assist you throughout the night and to make sure everyone is in their respective places and making sure all of the vendors come in and do their thing and setting everything up correctly the way you want it to. If you do not have a day of coordinator, it's more on you to have to do all of those things the day of, and honestly, when you're getting married, you don't want to have to worry about it. I do have to say though, is that I had a friggin' blast at my wedding that I couldn't even notice if any of the smaller details that I wanted weren't even there. We got signature drink signs. Were they even out? I don't even know. I don't even care. We got a little light up Mr. and Mrs. sign to have in front of the table seating cards. Was it out? Don't even know. Don't even care. I feel like it's all about the mindset going into your wedding day and just making sure that you want to have a good time, and then everything else will just seem so insignificant. The next question is about my wedding dress and if it was worth spending the money that I did. I did have a wedding dress budget. I stayed within my budget, but I did want to make sure I picked out the dress of my dreams, even if it was on the higher end side of my budget. Actually, I originally ordered my wedding dress in a nude underlay. I can pop up a picture here of what it actually was supposed to look like because I ordered it that way. And then about 2 to 3 weeks after I made the order and put down a down payment, I wanted to switch it to white. So that cost me an additional $700 just to switch it because I already made the initial order and put down the down payment. If I ordered the dress originally in white, it would have been the original price. I do want to say wedding dresses, I feel like, is an area where you should splurge a little bit more because all eyes are on you, and the pictures that are going to be taken are going to be memories you're going to look back forever. So definitely make sure and you prioritize the way you feel, you look, and making sure you're your utmost self. This next question is if I hired a wedding planner, and that is a no. Wedding planners just cost an astronomical amount of money these days. As I said, I did have a day of coordinator, which is different than a wedding planner. A wedding planner plans pretty much everything for you, and you just kind of give them a theme and then they work their magic from there. I, on the other hand, had 14 months to plan my wedding, so I did everything myself. I think if you have an ample amount of time to plan your wedding, there is no need for a wedding planner, especially if you're not trying to do anything extravagant above and beyond. I did the bare minimum for my wedding. Couldn't have been happier about it because I wasn't wasteful with any of my money, but I also think that if you have enough time to plan it, you should do it yourself and save money in that area. This next question is about budgeting and if I was budget savvy. I kind of wanted to talk about the different areas where I spent a little bit more of my money and then the other areas where I didn't deem it necessary to spend a lot there. So I'm gonna first talk about areas where I think I saved a lot of my money on, and the area I saved the most money in was my wedding venue. Was my wedding venue the most aesthetically pleasing? No. Was it admirable? No. Did anyone care? No. This wedding venue was out on Long Island, and I do have a video all about my wedding venue searches and which one I chose, so definitely check that out if you want more information on where I had my wedding and what it looks like. But to be honest, the interior design was just more of an old, gaudy Italian look, but the price was right. In the end, you just want an area where everyone can have fun. It doesn't matter what it looks like as long as the service is good, and that is what happened for us. We were a little hesitant about it just because we didn't know how the quality of the food was gonna be, but let me tell you, where we risked it turned out in our favor in the end because the food was delectable and everyone came back with so many compliments about the food. So that was a little added bonus because we did save our money in the venue area and they provide the food. Another small area that I did save a lot of my money on was all of the little small decor. I really wasn't trying to make my wedding unique or make my wedding stand out or make my wedding look a certain way. I know a lot of people have a lot of crazy ideas these days on how a wedding should look and trying to make it the best that it could be, and honestly, no one really cares at the end. I didn't spend a lot of money on table seating cards, on table seating numbers, table seating stands. I really put my focus in on other areas that were more important to me and that I feel are more important in weddings, like your company having a good time. Now talking about areas where I did spend a little bit more of my money is pretty much all of the vendors. So I definitely wanted a good DJ and MC. Music makes the night, they control the night, so I did make sure I had a really well-known, reputable DJ to make sure that the night was going the way it should have. I also put a lot of my money towards my photographer. She actually did my engagement shoot and I was in love with her work, so I did hire her for my wedding. I didn't spend money on the videographer. Could have spent more, but I didn't. And then the other area that I did splurge a little bit on were my flowers. Now let me tell you, there are different levels of flower budgets, mine was probably on the lower end. I mean, people do insane stuff these days with flowers, but I did want to make sure that I hired a reputable company and that they were going to produce great work for what I really wanted. I really focused on my centerpieces because that does catch the eye of everyone as soon as they walk into your venue. The sweetheart table and the cake, because where we were sitting was the center of the room, so it kind of just added a really nice touch with all of the florals that were around us. And then I also spent money on my bouquet. I think those are like the 4 places where I did spend more of my flower budget on. Everything else I didn't really care about. I didn't add flowers to the church. We just had church bows for the pews, and I think that really was all that was super necessary for that. The other areas are the 4 that I talked about that I think is where people are going to remember the night the most. This next question is, what was the most stressful part in terms of wedding planning? I have to say, and this statement couldn't hold more true, is that it's really hard to please everybody, and the best and the worst come out in people when you are planning a wedding. I had a lot of different people to please, and it was really, really difficult to try to make everyone happy. In the end, it's your day, and you really have to try and remind yourself that you need to be happy, and all of these other people are gonna be happy because you're happy and not because they didn't get that one little thing that they wanted on your wedding day. So that is probably the most stressful part, is just having to please everyone. There's a lot of different opinions, and a lot of people would do things differently, and that's okay, but it's not their day, it's yours. So always remind yourself about that. Another stressful part, but now looking back in retrospect and it all turned out fine, was just that the interior design of my venue was gold, and my flowers and bridesmaids dresses and the color scheme of my wedding didn't really tie in with gold. So it was really hard to make sure that everything looked cohesive and nice together. It was a lot easier than I thought because, you know, you can choose the color linens you want, all those other things that the venue can provide that can really help tie in your colors all together. So in the moment it was stressful, but looking back in retrospect, it was perfectly fine. This next question is, who did your hair and makeup? So I used Glam Squad, and I think they are only based in New York. I could be 100% wrong, but I do believe they are a New York based company. They are a little bit on the pricier side, but I did hear really great reviews about them, so I wanted to try them out. I have to say, there were no complaints from anybody on my wedding day, from my bridal party to my mom, on how their hair and makeup turned out. I was so pleased with how my hair and makeup turned out. I would definitely suggest them. You and your bridal party are willing to spend the money for it because the outcome was astounding. The next one is, what was my favorite part of the wedding? I have to say, and I feel like a lot of brides can agree with me, is that the entire day was my favorite part. I can't really pinpoint exact moments that I thought were my favorite. I did really love seeing Alec as I was walking down the aisle and locking eyes with him. I loved that moment. And then I also loved, which is an underdog, was the cocktail hour. It was really nice to have more intimate conversations with people and being able to talk to everyone that came to celebrate you without music blasting in your ears. I honestly wish cocktail hours were extended to an hour and a half, but unfortunately, I don't think that's how the system works. So we're stuck with an hour, but I really did enjoy that time on my wedding. And then the last question is if I have any wedding planning tips. As I mentioned before, I was trying to be bougie on a budget. So my wedding tips may not relate to a lot of people out there if they have higher budgets than me, but I do want to say is that the venue that you really like, you should prioritize over a certain date that you want. In the end, it doesn't matter the month or the date that you get married. The day is just about celebrating your love. So if you really, really love a venue, I would prioritize that over a specific date or month that you had in mind if they are not available then. And then also is that you don't really have to pay attention to all the minute details of your wedding day. It's really about the company and who you invite that will exert the type of energy on your wedding day. And I could not enforce that enough because I experienced it myself. Everyone had such a good time, and all of the other little things really, really don't matter. So I am going to end off the video on that note. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what other videos you want to see down below. I can talk about this all day, every day if you wanted me to. And I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.